god. What the fuck is it doing?
It's going so wild. Are we gonna get it?
Rock's too small.
Slowing down.
Oh my god. Minnie!
It was just this theme of discomfort throughout the whole thing. We're seeing the discomfort of the little girl as her friends are killing this fish. And when they give her the rock and it's her turn, she's like, I don't know what to do. And then this eye contact with a stranger at the beach. And it's really intense. And there's this whole conversation, this whole dynamic that's happening non-verbally. And you just don't know what is going to happen and what she's going to do. And then she ends up running away. And then we see the mother at home with the husband with this really the really tense dynamic. And we see that there's definitely like an abuse of power and intimidation that's being used. And again, we're uncomfortable. We're watching her grind this pestle and mortar. And again, there's tension, there's dis-ease. And as she leaves and goes out onto the balcony, we see finally there's this break of the tension, which is when the little girl gets struck by the object and falls to the ground. And it's finally this like explosion, implosion, whatever you want to call it, where everything comes to a head. And finally we get that like break of the tension where like, okay, something has now happened. And we don't get to see what happens afterward. But I just felt like it was really, really good filmmaking and really good storytelling to like make the audience feel something. And there's kind of like this knot in our stomach and we go along and then finally like, we get not a conclusion and not an end to it, but it's like everything has now come to a head and now everybody has to deal with this problem. Everybody has to deal with the issues that are going on because now it's affecting us in a serious way that we can't ignore.
There was many moments of built intensity through the silence and the staring in this piece. What happens to the fish foreshadows what happens to the girl. And there's established tension in this marriage that we see. Even the throwing of the can is foreshadowing to his temperament. The close-up on the mashing bowl is foreshadowing how it'll be used later. Everything is clearly presented in this piece. Lots of use of the extreme close-up here to really get you in tune with what the characters may be thinking in a particular moment. The scene in the kitchen where he is behind her shows the dynamics, the tension within this marriage. And I think they did a really great job of setting the scenes of all these relationships when you only had such a short amount of time to really set up. And then you obviously have the tragedy of this, which even in the tragedy of her being hit with this, where you're not 100% sure that she's alive or dead, but you can assume that she might not be alive. And then you have the irony of the same girl that she ran into at the beach who was criticizing her for throwing rocks at the fish is the same one that finds her. So everything in this was like really smartly executed.
It had a really good, an interesting approach to using the younger characters and the older characters. I thought there was a lot of foreshadowing and sort of thematic implications that were designed to set up the inevitable ending with the young girl and sort of the mystery around not just the dynamics between the characters or what happened to her, but sort of a thematic idea of relationships and the subtext of certain dynamics. There's a lot of silence in this piece that I thought was used quite well, and there was a sense of almost longing or a sense of emptiness that was sort of carried by what appeared to be normalcy or mundane experiences, either from the couple in the kitchen or the children early on. But I thought it sort of was working to build a more sinister and darker ending that I thought gave the experience a level of depth that was surprising. So I thought it was a well acted, especially across the spectrum of ages, and I just felt like it had a good sense of pacing and sort of a mood that really contributed to why it ended up working so well.
The film is entitled PESTLE, which is a reference to a pestle and mortar, and within this scene of the short, you see this woman essentially at her wit's end and grinding out the last bit of resistance that she has in this relationship that she has with her significant other. Her family is, in a sense, on the brink of destruction, and you can tell that the young girl is, in a sense, still being affected by this as her and her friends abuse a fish at the ocean. And rather than facing it, she runs off. And you have the scene of, you know, this couple, this couple bickering, and within that, we get a sense that there's definitely something in between them that is not in a positive light. It's kind of, you get a sense that the relationship is over. And she walks out onto the balcony, which she has this scene that unfolds where he throws a piece of glass and it actually hits the little girl's friend. It is such a great depiction when it comes to a domestic violent dispute within the home.
About the past, present, and future of oneself, especially in terms of not escaping our toxic lifestyle and our toxic patterns. We see this little girl go from being a child, a teenager, an adult. The child falls for a bad boy like most girls do when they're younger. The young adult or the teenager is a good doer and seems like she cares for the world when she tells the little boy not to hurt the fish. And then the adult is in a toxic romantic situation with her manipulative partner. All three girls want out of their lives. By the end, they all see each other, but the little girl ends up dying or falling and something happening to her. And that may mean that all the girls would disappear because the little girl is the start of it all. It may perhaps be the circle of life and escaping the toxicity we are brought into because of society.
Got these two separate storylines. You got the kids in one way, and then the husband and the wife in the house. We see the domestic abuse, which is it is not completely physically violent, but is very very much mentally violent, and the wife is being abused. And then when we go to the end, there is the spinal homicide, which it leaves you with a layer of mystery, like who threw that one in the street. It was the husband, maybe not, because we don't actually see the hand picking up, although it is possible that it was him. And then we have this final climax where we just don't understand what's happening. We just don't understand if the kid is dead, or if anything else is going to happen after that. I think it was a interesting story to follow, and honestly, I really enjoyed it. I personally enjoyed the acting as well. The performances were absolutely brilliant.
Very spooky and chilling effect. I think the nature shots offer a nice contrast to the human character conflict within the piece.